The newest lore deck is here, and I'm going to talk about it. Hello guys, and we'll go back to another cold episode. On today's episode, we are taking a look at Artmage, the newest of the lore archetypes. It already has a whole bunch of different archetypes that span from this guy in particular, Medius the Pure, at least that are available in the TCG and OCG. Right now, we just received Artmage in Master Duel, and it is the first and main archetype for Medius, at least as of right now. With that being said, what does it do? Well, imagine White Forest, but with fusion monsters instead of synchros. That's basically what it does. It relies on pitching cards, specifically spell traps, in order to search out the rest of your cards. The field spell is the one that does this. Let's just read the field spell together. During the main phase, you can normal summon Medius the Pure in addition to your normal summoner set that turn. Fantastic. On top of that, you can discard a spell trap to declare an Artmage monster card name that is not among the monsters you control, or that has not been declared thus far this turn. Add that monster from your deck to your hand. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn, except for Artmage monsters. Keep that in mind. I did not. That being said, sorry. Artmage, Medius, or from the extra. You can summon anything from the extra. You're just locked into main deck Artmage monsters. Keep that in mind. Sorry. With that being said, what does Medius do? Obviously, he's tied to it, and you get that extra normal. Medius on normal summon adds or special summons a power patron monster from the deck. On top of that, if this card is in the graveyard, you can shuffle one monster from hand or face of field in order to reborn it. The power patron that we are using is the only one currently available to us, which is Artmage Power Patron, which is just a quick play fusion guy. So that's basically what that line does. We'll get into the rest in a second. But for the most part, you use this to search out a whole bunch of cards. Notably, there's also not a once per turn on this. It's just that you can't use the same names or declare the same names over the course of the turn, meaning as long as you have things to discard, you get those additional searches, which is pretty nice. And over the course of the turn, you actually can add back additional spell traps, similar to White Forest, in order to search out additional names. Pretty solid. Going into the rest of the archetype, going back to Patron, quick play fusion, quick effect, fusion summon into an Artmage fusion or a Nerva. Notably, you will most likely be going into Deactorus, just so that you can get the power patron into the grave, because when it's sent from hand or field to the graveyard, mostly as a fusion material, you can add an Artmage spell trap from your deck to your hand. This allows you to add the additional material necessary for the additional discard. So that's pretty nice. On top of that, we have a few other Artmages that we are going to search. Now, because it is so centered around the field spell, not only do we have an additional field spell searcher, this is also just a searcher if you have the field spell. So, with that, we also have the other monsters, that being Graflair, Litera, and Finmel, which searches sets a spell, adds back a card from grave, and then draws a card on summon, and all have the ability to summon themselves if you control an Artmage card. Any Artmage card, including the field spell, which is very nice. On top of that, they also have a quick play effect, or quick effect, if you control 3 or more monsters with different types, meaning the entire deck has a bunch of different types as well. Litera reborns an Artmage from hand or grave. Sorry. Graflair pops a spell trap, and Finmel negates the entire field of face-up monsters, which is pretty solid. So all of these paired together immediately get you access into their quick effects, which then allow you to negate or pop or do some other things. It's not exceptional, but it is pretty solid. And Finmel is actually a very, very solid card with this archetype. On top of that, we are also playing a few other notable spell traps, that being 2 Assault, which just searches Medius, and then also protects your field spell, which is pretty nice. On top of that, it does have some other uses, but it's mostly just for those. We have Succession, which allows you to fusion summon at quick effect speed, but also can put back Artmage names back into the deck so that you can search them later. And then we also have the Awakening, which is probably the most common card you will search off of pretty much anything, because Awakening says you can special summon an Artmage monster or a Medius from your deck, and then for the rest of this turn, the activations of your cards and effects that include an effect that fusion summons a fusion monster cannot be negated. Also, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when a monster is fusion summoned this way. So it does the whole like branded lost thing. And then on top of that, the important part of this is that you can banish it to bounce one of your Artmages, either returning it to the hand or the extra deck, and then if you do, you get to pop a card your opponent controls. So it adds that additional piece of interaction that is difficult to see and is just difficult to interact with, because you just bounce the guy and then non-target destroy. Very, very useful. That's pretty much it for the deck. It's very simple. The extra deck monsters are also very simple. Deactorus is an Omni Negate if on the field, if you have 3 or more monsters, it's a quick effect. And then if it's destroyed, it summons a Medius. And Nerva allows you to nuke if you chain to a Artmage card. So that's pretty much it, right? Once per turn, when an Artmage monster effect is activated, you get to destroy. Sure. It's fine. It's not that great of an effect, but it works and it's applicable. Most of the time, I never even summon this. So there's that. As for the rest of the cards, it's pretty simple, just non-engine, droll, maxi, etc. We're also playing Super Polymerization as well as Fusion Deployment as not only additional ways to get into fusion monsters, but also a way to use spells to discard for the Acropolis. The extra deck is pretty simple as well. It's Super Polymerization targets mostly. I'm also playing the a small branded package. It's actually more just Cartesia with the Fusion Deployment, so that we have an additional way to fusion summoning, and then Granganol can get you additional things. It's nice. It's not insane, but like it can dodge targeting effects and stuff like that. And we're also playing a Selene package, because Selene into Access Code with the spellcasters, we're playing a few of them, not a ton of them, right? It just is a way to get over problematic cards in OTK. So there you go. Let's hop into the replays and show you how this deck performed. Alrighty, so here we are going first, and we drew a pretty decent hand. We're going to start off here with the Field Spell and activate its effect. Obviously, my opponent has the Maxi. I'm going to activate the Ash Blossom. Hip hip hooray. Coolio. I'm going to activate my effect here in order to search out a card, since I have the Field Spell. It gets negated. That's fine. We'll go for the Field Spell here. We're going to grab the Graflayer. Graflayer is going to special summon it and then set a card. The card we are setting is Assault, which grabs Medius. Then we get that extra normal for Medius, and then out comes Power Patron. We're immediately going to fuse into Deactorus, triggers the Power Patron. Power Patron search out Trap card here. We're going to pitch the Trap card to add the Litera. Litera then special summons itself, activates the effect in order to grab back the Awakening. Sorry, not activate, just resolve. Here we grab the Finmel, and we're going to special summon out the Finmel here and draw a card. And then here I go for the SP Little Knight. Now, this is a bad play. However, my opponent revealed that they had Nibiru. Or so I thought. Realistically, I shouldn't have done anything about the Nibiru, because I don't have a good answer to Nibiru. This deck dies to Nib. Period. I was like, oh, how do I stop Nibiru from killing me? I was like, I'll go for SP Little Knight. So my opponent, when they activate the Nibiru, I can tag out the Litera, which then Litera can bring back the Power Patron, and then like I can fuse and like I don't know, I could like do something. It doesn't actually do anything, I'm lying to you. But that was the idea, right? It's like, oh, I could potentially do something. However, the problem is that doesn't work. That doesn't work the way that I wanted to do, and it also wasn't Nibiru. So you'll see here, I go to end phase, it was a Bestial. It was a Bestial. It was a Bestial. They banished the Fusion Monster, and I'm like, oh, that's just not the right card to banish. I think you banish Medius, but sure. Anyway, they have the Called By here for the other, for the Power Patron, and I'm like, oh, tragic. So I do have to, like, summon the Graflayer. And Litera does bounce itself as well, which kind of sucks. But that's fine. My opponent reveals that they were on Malice as well. But I just banished the March Hare. If they add it back, I'm like, that's fine. Not that big of a deal. And then I accidentally misclick and click Awakening to pop the Druid's Worm. Oops. Now if they have a Malice monster in their hand, I'm kind of toast. I don't think they do, given the fact that they, you know, normal summoned March Hare. But I was like, oh no, it's probably fine, but like, oh no. Anyway, it's not that big of a deal. Turns out they didn't have anything. They activate the Fool Loss and then just concede there, realizing that the game is over. But alas, hopefully that gives you an idea as how the combo works. Alrighty, here we are once again going first. This deck is terrible going second, by the way. Anyway, we're going to activate Fusion Deployment here and be met by Retaliating Sea. Ah, you hate to see it. Okay, sure, out comes the Retaliating Sea. It's not actually as bad as I originally anticipated, because I thought that this card said send a card to the graveyard. It doesn't. It says discard. So, notably, we can still discard the cards and search out cards. So that's not that big of a deal. It is a big deal, but it's not yet. We get to search out the Graflair. Graflair is going to set the continuous trap or continuous spell to grab up the Medius, extra normal Medius into Power Patron, and then I'm going to discard an additional card to go for the Finmel and special summon the Finmel, which then has the ability to negate the Retaliating Sea. My opponent, that's 5, Nibiru. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. Oopsie poopsie. That's fine. We have Finmel, which is a quick effect to negate the Retaliating, so we should be okay, except for the fact that I misclick. And while I do click Finmel, I then chain the Power Patron. Now, here's the thing. I could still make this work, but I do just about everything in my power to throw this game. All Power Patron needs to do is go from hand or field to the grave, and it triggers to add an Artmage spell trap, which would allow me to search out another card, specifically Litera. And what do you think the boy does? That's right, use the one card that needs to go to the grave. I misplay this probably about as heavily as I could. My opponent adds the Maxi. I'm like, oh, okay. I'll set the Super Polymerization, and then they Skullmeister my Blazing Cartesia. It's not looking good for your boy, but okay. Sure. Blazing Cartesia is negated. And the Bestial to banish the fusion. They always banish the fusion. To be fair, I don't know if that is necessarily the correct play. I couldn't tell you. Out comes Moon, and I go, oh no! Luckily, we have Super Polymerization, so I can at least Super Poly away the board and go for the Mud Dragon. I'm just going to put Mud Dragon in defense. And they pass. And I'm like, okay. Hip hip hooray. They don't have anything. Surely we're fine. I'm going to pitch here to search out a card. They have Ash. Okay. Alright, look, it's just hand traps here. That's all we've seen. I'm just gonna go combat, deal 19, like, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. And then they pass again, and it all clicks in my brain. Ah, they're playing Hand Trap Turbo. And of course they see another Ash. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. This is not looking good. Though, it seems like they don't have anything. And, notably, their one win condition is likely the Fiendsmith stuff. And Requiem is currently in Grave. I don't know if they play 2. They should. But I don't know if they do. So I'm a little scared. But, okay, I draw Power Patron. Now the problem is, Power Patron doesn't do anything. I do luckily bait out the Maxi that they had in hand. But at the very least, Power Patron puts them on a 2-turn clock. So there's that. At the very least. And, they pass. Wow, fantastic. Now, luckily, I actually do have the trap in Grave, and I'm going to pop. And it was Lurie. Meaning, likely, they only have the one Requiem. I don't know why we're not playing the second one. That seems like a great idea if we're playing just Fiendsmith Turbo. But alas, that's fine. I normal summon the Power Patron. I activate the effect. I summon the Litera. I add back the Assault. And I just go to combat. And this game should... oh no. This game should not have been close, even remotely. It's fine. It's not fine, but it's fine. Alrighty, so here we are going second once again. And, I mean, our hand is pretty... I mean, it's got Maxi. So it's pretty good. Maxi Nib, that's pretty good. My opponent reveals that they're on Blue Eyes. So that's kind of interesting. Now, I could have immediately fired the Maxi as soon as they normal summon the Veiler. The reason I didn't elect to do that is due to the fact that I kind of want them to commit a little bit more so that they play into the Nibiru. However, I do fire it here, right? At the very least, I guarantee that I get a draw, right? So there's that. Anyway, out comes the Blue Eyes, and I'm like, sure. It seems like their hand was very bad anyway, so I don't think the Maxi was going to do a whole lot there anyway. That's fine. We did draw a Fusion Deployment, which is pretty solid here, so we're going to activate that and just fire it off. Now, I'm pretty sure that this is the Drill Beam. So that's a little scary. or it's nothing. Okay. Guess it's not Drill Beam. Maybe it's the trap. No, they would have activated the trap. I have no idea what this is. This could have been... like, obviously you fire it on the field spell if it's, like, some sort of interaction. Maybe it's, like, Imperm, and it's just a bad Imperm, right? So there's that. Anyway, it's fine. We pitched the trap card that we did end up drawing. My opponent goes for the Droll. I activate the Called By. And I'm feeling pretty good here. Again, I don't know what this is. I just thought it was Drill Beam. To be fair, if it is the trap card and they go for the trap card here, that's pretty solid for them as well. Anyway, we go for the Graflair. We grab up the continuous trap, or continuous spell. This grabs the Medius, and then we can activate the effect of the Graflair, which does have the effect to pop a card. It just becomes a quick effect if you have 3 or more, which is pretty nice. So we still get to slow MST. It's not even Night Beam, it's just... I don't know, what's a spell trap that just pops a card? Or pops a spell trap? I don't know. It's not even Dust Tornado. I don't know. Anyway, out comes Jet Dragon. Jet Dragon doesn't matter here. Even though it's very annoying as a card, it doesn't actually do anything here. We do go for the Power Patron. We're going to grab up the Deactorus, which is then going to trigger the Power Patron's effect Engrave. Grab up that spell. I grabbed the spell here since we already had the trap Engrave. So we're going to grab up the Latera here, and then special summon out the Latera. Which adds back that trap that we just sent to the graveyard, which now we can pitch once again in order to grab up the Finmel, which also has the effect where it can negate the effects of face-up monsters, but it also halves their attack, which is kind of cool. So there's that. We're going to go for the Medius the Pure to put back the Droll in order to reborn it, and then we just go for the Finmel here, and I'm going to Fusion Summon. This doesn't really matter at this point. The game is pretty much over. We just walk over it pretty effectively and just clean up, right? So the game was over from that point, and my opponent sees the writing on the wall. We know what the set card is. That game is over. Good game. All right, we're back with the deck, and honestly, this deck is very fun to play. It's not as fun as Draco Tail, I will say that, but it is fun to play at the very least, and it is bad. It's bad. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's not a good deck. I don't care what distant coder tells you. I don't care what anyone tells you. This deck is not actually all that great. It works, and it's pretty interesting, and it's fun to play, but it's not really doing anything spectacular. It has a very beatable board, right? It has a very easy to beat start, extender, etc. It loses to a lot of very common cards like Nibiru, Droll, Maxi, Fua, etc. There's just a ton of things that it has issues with. On top of that, due to the fact that it can just brick if you just don't draw the right spells or what have you, there's a lot of hands that just don't do it, right? And that don't have the ability to play. So that is a lot of it, or that is a problem at the very least. Now, it's not that bad in regards to bricking, right? So that's not its like biggest weakness, but it does falter to a lot of hand traps, right? And it has a lot of hands where it's like, oh, I need this one card to resolve, and if it does, I win, and if it doesn't, I lose, right? But it's not particularly good into anything. It doesn't really use anything, like I can't play Impulse or I can't play Purge or something like that. So it's just kind of like a middle of the road fine deck. And the thing is, every rogue deck now has a fairly strong end board, if not basically an unbeatable end board if uninterrupted. The problem isn't the end board itself, as we've seen, right? Like Draco Tail's end board is laughably bad. The problem isn't the end board. The problem is the 9 cards that you got, or that like they got trying to get to that end board, right? So it's just rogue decks almost never seem to have a problem with having a bad end board, unless you're like Ashen, right? But pretty much every other deck has some sort of competent, very powerful end board. And that's still the case here. The problem is everything else, right? So, I don't know. It's a fun deck. I enjoy it, right? And I'll definitely play it some more. But, I don't know. I feel like there has been some propaganda being spread about the competency of this deck and the quality of it, and I just, it's fine, but I don't think it's as good as people may let you on. So, that's all. Keep that in mind. I don't know, maybe you play it and have a great time with it, and it ends up you know, you go on like a 20-0 streak or something like that. I don't know. Maybe someone else is better at this deck than I, and they say that it's actually really good. And honestly, that may be the case. Anyway, I'm going to call it quits there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, a like is very much so appreciated. And remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.